My name is Michelle Niedens, and I'm the Director of Education, Programs, and Public Policy. And what that means is that I oversee, collaborate with the team on those functions and tasks that relate to those three different areas. Here at the Heart of America chapter, we do, like many other chapters, we see lots of families. So many of our programs and much of our time is devoted to individually talking with people with the disease and their families. So we make home visits and we see people in the office every day and talk to folks on the phone who are at different stages and having different kinds of challenges as they walk through this disease. We also do lots of education for professionals involved in the experience, for families, and even for individuals with the disease. When people get diagnosed with the disease, there's such a heaviness in that experience. And what we want people to know is, there's a way to live well, and there's a way to cope, and there's a way to sustain control. And part of that has to do with knowledge. And so education is a piece of what we do. We do lots of social engagement kind of programs. We are a believer that social engagement adds quality of life. And there's certainly research that says that social engagement is part of sustaining function for a period of time, that it's part of a wellness variable. So social engagement to us, we have programs like Memories in the Making, where individuals are creating artwork through watercolor programs. We have a partnership with the Nelson Art Gallery, where docents are trained to give individuals with the disease and their family members tours, specialized with individual conversation. We've recently begun a partnership with the Kansas City, Missouri Public Library System to have a program called Movies in Memory, which is an intergenerational dementia-friendly program utilizing movies and other sensory mode to support enjoyment, function, and interaction. We have a program called Fish Tales, which is a partnership with Bass Pro, reminiscing about fishing and actually fishing philosophy to sustain thought and connection. We have an Arts and Inspiration program, which is a 2-day-a-week program based in the arts, drama therapy, music, poetry, writing, and volunteering. People that have the disease want to contribute. We are a people who would rather give than receive, and that doesn't change when you have Alzheimer's disease. So Arts and Inspiration Center has a component where people come in and do volunteer work for other agencies as part of their experience. We have jam sessions, which are literally jam sessions. So once a month, people come in and bring their instruments, whether they're family members or people with the disease, and our education center is full of people singing and playing and laughing. So we have lots of those kind of social engagement programs. We utilize other generations, and part of that is our Memory Room project, mural project, where National Art Honor Society kids design murals for people in the later stage of the disease who find themselves in isolation for whatever reason, typically neuropsych kinds of issues. We do advocacy work, and part of that is on an individual basis as people go through a set of injustices provoked by the disease, illegal evictions from facilities sometimes, misdiagnosis, adult protective service kind of cases where we see exploitation and abuse going on. So some of that advocacy is individually based and some larger as we look at state policy and support the federal policy. Public policy is defined or set terms of state initiatives based on what we hear from family members as some of the more pressing issues going on in the various states. And so we are a bi-state chapter. We pay attention to both Missouri and Kansas, so define those priorities annually. Kansas has been defined, and Missouri soon will be defined for the next coming legislative session. But what people can do is look on our websites as the policy priorities will be put on over the next month or so. From a federal standpoint, if you go to alz.org and the advocacy page, you can sign up to be a congressional team member, support some of the work on the federal level, as well as even become an ambassador to some of the legislators. From a state perspective, we have memory days at the capitals where bunches of us go and talk to legislators about our priority. But it's really keeping those concerns that face people with Alzheimer's disease implicate all of us in the minds of individuals that are in the decision-making capacity. So I have been with the Alzheimer's Association. I'm just finishing my 16th year in terms of being an employee. I volunteered for multiple years prior to that, facilitating the early stage support group, and came to the association. I'm a clinical social worker. Have worked with elders. This is my 32nd year working with seniors and people with disease, with Alzheimer's disease. So came to the chapter as part of that experience that people in the early stage really need to express their thoughts. In the early days of my career, it was really believed this was a caregiver's disease, that it was the caregivers that felt the full weight and burden of the disease. That's a myth. There's enough suffering in this disease to go around the table, and people with the disease need to have the opportunity to process too. So came to volunteer in the support group with this dedication to assisting individuals diagnosed in the early stage process what amounts to a life-changing, eventually life-terminating disease. I have so many things that I love about working at the Alzheimer's Association. But believe it or not, the most important, or the thing I enjoy the most is seeing hope live. When we work with families and they realize, gosh, I can be an active part in making sure that we cope and thrive in this disease, that, it's a long disease, there's lots of good years, that there can be something that we do. One of the most powerful coping strategies for any loss, for anybody, is saying what's wrong with you, saying that it is for the greater good, utilizing what is wrong for what is right, in essence. And so seeing families come to that conclusion and become strong advocates, and knowing on the research front that there are answers coming down the path. When people ask me, isn't it sad to work for the Alzheimer's Association? I say, absolutely, it is not. There are sad moments, but there's a lot of wonderful, amazing, strong people who are doing very, very well in this disease and making a difference and living and enjoying and laughing and going on down the road and teaching their kids what it means to be dignified and graceful and powerful. That's what I love about the Alzheimer's Association.